Hey guys, I'm gonna get a quick video about how to get really strong really quickly. And basically, it's gonna entail Pavel Tsatsouline's method using the creatine-phosphate system within the human body. So when you work out, you have basically three systems that your body uses for energy. You have fat oxidation. So think about a long walk on the treadmill, stuff that's very low intensity, long duration. Body likes to use fat because fat is a slow moving fuel. It doesn't break down and enter the cell very quickly, not like glucose does. Glucose is that fuel. So when you're doing reps, let's say you're doing 8 to 12 reps, you're trying to build muscle, whatever it is, or you're jogging, you're using glucose for fuel, right? Lactic acid is coming from your glucose burning. But there is a third source of fuel that most people don't know about. It's called your creatine-phosphate system. So when you are doing something like high intensity cardio, HIIT training, or you're lifting a super heavy load, talking 2 to 3, 4, maybe 5 reps, your body has to use your creatine-phosphate system. What is that? That's basically the system that rapidly recycles ADP into ATP, right? So your cells are using adenosine triphosphate for energy. What happens is you're creating a huge demand for that when you go through rapid exertion. Your body cannot convert that glucose through the Krebs cycle into NADH, right, into ATP, right? That's a whole process. It has to go through your Krebs cycle, and then it has to go through your electron transport chain, and then now you have ATP. So it has to go through 2 processes. And so your body has a system to bypass that called creatine phosphate. And what does that do? It takes that spent ATP, which is adenosine diphosphate, ADP. It takes that and it just adds a phosphate group to it. Boom, now you have ATP. Now you have energy, right? So Pavel Tsatsouline was on Joe Rogan. I'll probably leave a link for that in the description below. And he was talking about how the Russians and him personally like to train athletes using this system, and how they were getting insane strength gains by doing this because they kept training the system and the body to do it. And then this is how I got super strong, and I got myself to do a 2-rep 1-arm pull-up, basically just doing this system. I didn't train calisthenics much at all. I've barely trained calisthenics in my life. To get to the 1 rep, it took 2 to 3 days of practice. And then to get to the 2 rep, it took maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I forget exactly how much, but it wasn't a lot. And it was basically just lat pull downs got me there, to be quite honest. And so just to quickly break down Tsatsouline's method, he has a book called The Quick and the Dead. And he breaks down the training routine. It involves a lot of rest because your creatine-phosphate system needs time in between sets to reset. It's about 3 to 5 minutes between every set. And every set entails about 30 seconds worth of exertion. So that's about 4 heavy reps, 2 to 3 times, followed by a 3 to 5 minute rest. And you could do that for 5 cycles. And that's your creatine phosphate system. And a good way to gauge this, if you don't want to follow the hard rules, is how much exertion am I able to put out? If I could put out a lot of exertion, it means I'm doing it well. If I can't produce that, it means I need a rest now. So the idea is you're always pushing the maximum amount of intensity without the lactic acid buildup. So that's why this system works so well, is because you don't create tons of lactic acid, because that's what ends up destroying your strength gains. It wears on your tendons, your muscles, and it does not produce the same results. So you're doing that, and then you can and should take days between your workouts off. You gotta take days off, like 2 to 3 days off sometimes, because your muscles just lose that the power, and they don't seem to recover. And it sucks because you're trying to create a routine for yourself too, and when you don't do things every day, you fail to create habits for yourself. And I understand the detriment of that and why it's important, but that's just been my experience. And he says in his book that 2 to 3 days a week is about as much as you really need or want to help promote that system. I'll also say that C60 oil, this is a bit of an off note, but C60 oil is also incredibly helpful. It just works really well on your muscle mitochondria. It's within an olive oil tincture. You can take 5 to 10 milliliters before your workout, and that can help as well. Also, I recommend cold showers. They help a lot before workout. They really get your adrenaline moving like crazy, and they just lower inflammation temporarily. So cold showers are a hack in general in that sense, because you could just basically drop your inflammation down a ton for a period of time. So that, and then I also like fasted workouts. It works for some people, not for others. I feel like I'm stronger when I'm working out fasted, but that's just me. Some people like to eat first. I'm weaker in the morning. Some people are stronger in the morning. I like to work out in the evening. Different things for different people, different strokes for different folks. Working out and keeping an empty stomach during an intermittent fast is probably one of the fastest ways to just jack up your androgens like crazy. So if you work out, and I'll leave a study for this. I learned this from Thomas DeLauer, if you know him on YouTube. If you work out on an empty stomach and you don't feed yourself for several hours following, what'll happen is that as a man, and I guess maybe as a woman as well, your androgens will start to climb. They'll continue climbing. And with this, you're also getting stress too, cortisol as well. But your androgens will increase. So you have a time under tension kind of thing. And so I like to eat on an intermittent fast and then wait 3 to 4 hours before I actually feed for my one meal a day. And I feel that's been very helpful for my strength gains. And so those are just a couple of things that I've done to help make myself stronger. Again, I have some of the strength stuff on my Instagram, and so I thought I'd make a video about it and what I like to do for myself and my clients. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.